Accused Seminole Heights serial killer Howell Donaldson III is competent to stand trial. 10 News reporter Josh Shadorowitz is live outside the Hillsborough County Courthouse now. And Josh, that decision was announced just a short time ago.
Allison, yes, and that decision based on the findings of 3 different doctors who evaluated Donaldson, who of course is accused of murdering 4 people over the course of a 5-week time period in Tampa's Seminole Heights neighborhood. Now, Donaldson himself, he did not appear in the courtroom today. However, we did see several relatives of some of the victims who were there, who were watching and waiting anxiously here. Let's talk in terms of what this decision actually means, that Donaldson is competent. Well, it means a few things. One, the doctors who have been evaluating him since April, they believe there is no issue in terms of his ability to understand the charges against him. That is one. They also believe that there is no issue in his ability to assist in his own defense. Those are 2 big qualifiers that determine someone's competency to stand trial. Prosecutors say Donaldson intentionally shot and killed Benjamin Mitchell, Monica Hoffa, Anthony Naboa, and Ronald Felton last year. Today, one of Felton's sisters told me that the findings, they do bring some comfort, at least in knowing a different decision could have dragged out an already slow process that has admittedly left them feeling frustrated.
He was found incompetent. We have to wait 4 years or longer until he got competent. So now I think this will process it to go a little faster.
This is something that no family should have to endure. And compounding the loss of their loved one is the fact that the wheels of justice sometimes spin very slowly, and they just want justice for their family members.
Now, in each of the 4 murders last year, between October and November, the victims were killed while they walked alone in southeast Seminole Heights. Donaldson, of course, was later arrested at the end of November after leaving a gun in a bag with his co-worker. If found guilty, Donaldson does potentially face the death penalty here. And following today's decision, State Attorney Andrew Warren, who you heard from there a few moments ago, he said that the results of this competency hearing simply affirm their decision to pursue the death penalty in this case. We are live outside the county courthouse in downtown Tampa. Josh Shadorowitz, 10 News.